Nobody wants you cause you got a broken pussy. Nobody wants you cause you got a broken pussy. Broken pussy. Broken pussy.
Hello, friends and family. It is Allie Berry's mom, aka Tanisha. I am back. I took a break. No explanation. I just needed to take a break. It might be Simone voice. It was too much. There's a lot happening. And I really just wanted to refocus. That's really it. And I'm on here today, as you can see the title, Broken PUM. We'll get into the title. Let's just give you a recap of what's been happening. Nothing really. I still work at Target. Still have a bunch of little side gigs. That's really it. I'm still single. I was dating. Now I'm not. Obviously, because the pum pum is broken, okay? No one broke it. Let's get into this broken pum pum, okay? It's a hilarious title. It's not a hilarious story. It's actually pretty serious, but you know, I like to make jokes about things. It makes me feel better about serious things. Okay, so before this corona business, I was feeling like a little weird. You know what? Let's rewind to 2 years ago. A lot of people don't know, but I ended up in the hospital. My closest friends and family, they know I ended up in the hospital 2 years ago. I was talking to my aunt. I was telling her I did not feel well at all. And I ended up passing out. She ended up coming, waking me up. I was able to get in her car. Once I got in the car, literally went to the hospital. When I got in the hospital, passed out. Woke up to the doctor saying, "You're gonna die. You're gonna die. Do you want to die if I don't take the blood?" I'm like, wait, what? So he's trying to get me to take 4 pints of blood. I'm like, I don't want anybody else's blood. Just give me the iron infusions. I don't want nobody else's blood. Long story short, he ended up calling my doctor. That's been my doctor since I was 16. And he ended up talking to me like, Tanisha, you have to take the blood. The blood goes through a lot of like, you know, tests and everything. Like, it's safe. And I'm like, I'm not taking 4 pints. I'll take 2. So I negotiated that and I was able to get 2 pints. This doctor though, not my doctor, the ER doctor, he was so arrogant, very unprofessional, like just really bad. And my aunt almost got into it. No, they got into it. Not even almost. So, after they gave me the blood, I was able to, they said I was pale. Could you imagine? Honey, me paler? So, they ended up doing tests. We did ultrasounds. They did a pap smear. They did everything to figure out why I was bleeding so much. And he came, he was like, "You're a perfectly normal 28-year-old woman. I'm going to recommend that you get on birth control to regulate your period, and that should, you know, control everything." Like, okay, that's it. So, I was going through this whole job transitioning, and I didn't have insurance. I had to get the state insurance. The state insurance, my doctor, that's been my doctor for 16 years, since I was 16, doesn't take the state insurance. So I ended up having to go to Planned Parenthood. Thank God for Planned Parenthood, y'all. And if you can, donate to them. I always donate to them. They are amazing and they do an amazing job, and they're government funded, and they're like not even funded the way that they need to be funded. That's right. It's not like, it's literally a clinic, not just for abortions, but like for every woman needs, even men, but not going to go into that. So I ended up going to Planned Parenthood, telling them my whole issue. And they're like, okay, well, these are the birth controls. Which one would you be interested in? And they mentioned Nexaplin, which is a little implant. It goes in your arm right here for 3 years. and you're protected. So I was like, okay, yay, that's great. Sign me up. So they inserted it, and I did the research, and it said, like, you know, it's too cold. Like, some people, it stops their period. Okay. And some people, it gives them random periods for a long period of time. Which one do you think I got? Of course, the random periods for long periods of time. So I just began to just bleed longer, not as heavy. I didn't start bleeding heavy until February. It was bad. And I have anemia. So when I bleed heavy, I begin to be tired, just like a lot, because I lose a lot of blood. So I stopped bleeding. So I'm like, okay, you know what? Perfectly fine, whatever. And I go to work, and fast forward, now this is 2 years. I go to work, regular day. We had a big visit, and I had to clean like this fixture wall. No, not the fixture wall. I had to clean a wall, and it's like moving boxes and stuff. All day I was telling my coworkers, like, yeah, I don't really feel that well. And then I'm like, I think my period's coming on, whatever. So I went and put on a pad, and I just wasn't feeling well. I kept saying that. And I'm in the back, and I think I moved something, a box or a little metal display, and I just feel something coming down. I'm like, oh my God, what's happening? Need to go. So I just drop everything and run to the bathroom. As I'm running to the bathroom, as soon as I get to the bathroom, it's like, oh bitch. So it just starts coming down. I'm telling you, I'm gushing. Probably said that wrong. Gushing all over the place. I'm calling my coworker, like, come to the bathroom. She's like, she denied me. She said, she's on the conference call. I called my other coworker. I'm gushing blood. Please come to the bathroom. Help me. So she can't get in because, of course, Tanisha locks the door. So they end up opening up the door. She comes in, and she's like, what is happening? It's like, it's just everywhere. Then my other coworker who I called comes in, and she's like, whoa. Her mom happens to be a nurse. So I'm like, yay. So she calls, and she's like, you know, what are the symptoms, whatever. I'm like, I'm fine. I just need to go to the doctor. This happened to me 2 years ago. I just need to go to the hospital or my doctor. I'm fine. I can just patch up myself. My PUM is broken, and I'm sitting here like, I can just patch it up and put on pants and put something down in my car and drive. So as she's talking, then they're like, you're not going to drive. And then my coworker's like, I'll drive you. I'm like, okay, as long as we don't call the ambulance. I don't want the ambulance. I know I said it wrong. Don't try to correct me. That's the way I say it. Accept it and move on. Don't call the ambulance. I don't want it. Please, this and that. And I'm still gushing. And then my coworker's like, you know what? The next one that comes out, take a picture of it. So I took a picture of it, and then at that time my SD, my store director, came in. So that's 3 women in the bathroom with me. Mind you, we're family now because they saw my broken pom-pom. And she, you know, we start Googling, of course, because we're doctors, and it comes up that that's what a miscarriage looks like. So now they're like, it's a miscarriage. And I'm like, it's a miscarriage? I was pregnant? And then I'm like, I can't be pregnant. I'm on birth control. And they're like, how many times have people been pregnant? I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, have you had sex? I was like, yeah. Like, I was sexually active with the guy that I was dating. And I'm like, but I know how it feels to be pregnant. I don't feel pregnant. Like, well, I know my stomach was getting big, but oh my God, now, not only am I still hemorrhaging and bleeding, now I'm thinking I'm having a miscarriage. So then they end up calling the look at the ambulance. They end up calling the ambulance, and the woman comes in, and she's talking to me, and she's like, well, yeah, this does look like a miscarriage. Now she's telling me this. She's an EMT. She knows what she's talking about. I'm hysterical at this point. I'm like, I need everybody out the bathroom right now. So she's like, I'm going to stay with you. Do you mind if I was like, you can stay with me. I just need some time to think. Because now it's just like all this emotion coming through. Like, I'm just like, what? And I go and I put my head down. Once I put my head down, I started to fall off. Like I passed out. She ended up pushing me back. I feel like she slapped me, but I can't tell you. I just knew I came to. And she's like, I guess with Johnny, come inside. And I'm like, Johnny, please, I apologize. My boom is broken and it's bleeding everywhere. He's like, I've seen worse. You're okay. And they took my pressure. They saw that it was low. And I was like, I have anemia. And they're like, okay, we have to get you to the hospital. I'm like, okay, take me to St. Barnabas. Because St. Barnabas knows me. Take me to St. Barnabas. That's where I want to go. They're like, your pressure is way too low for us to take you to St. Barnabas. We have to take you to the closest one. And I'm like, no. And I started crying again. And I kind of blacked out a little bit. Then I'm on the stretcher and I'm heading out. And then what I didn't want is like everybody seeing me on a stretcher. Like it's just too much. We end up getting into the ambulance. I know y'all gonna be like, girl, I need you to pronounce it right. That's just that. That's how I pronounce it. And she's talking to me and she's explaining that she was on Nexaplin as well. And I'm like, but I don't think I could be pregnant. And then I'm just like, I'm just like hysterical. So then we get to the ER. The lady's like, oh my God, you are pale. And I'm like, she's like, I'm going to have to take your hemoglobin. Like, we might have to give you blood. Here we go again with the blood. Y'all trying me. I don't want nobody's blood. Stop giving me people's blood. So she's like, ma'am, I'm going to have to get, I'm like, I don't want anybody's blood. So she's like, okay, I'm going to take your hemoglobin and then we'll revisit this conversation. Because at this point, like, I'm weak, I'm crying. Now cramps are starting. So along with like me thinking I'm having a miscarriage, I'm having cramps in my stomach and I'm still bleeding and passing clots. So the doctor comes in and he's like, so tell me what's happening. And I'm just like, I'm dying. That's what's happening. And my pum is broken and I need you to fix it. So he's like, okay, well, in order for me to fix it, I'm going to need to go in and see what's happening. I'm like, you don't want to go down there. So women, my fellow women, when you get a pap smear, you scoot down, legs open. As soon as I open the legs, the floodgates. It was bad, guys. He tried to use I don't know what it's called, but it goes. My women know if you get a pap smear, it goes. It's like the more he opened it, the more it came out. He ended up was like, okay, I'm going to call the gynecologist because this I haven't seen. Not something you want to tell your patient in the ER, right, doc? So he ends up calling the gynecologist. Gynecologist comes down and he's like, so tell me what happened. So I explained and he's like, well, this is almost similar to a miscarriage. And I'm like, a miscarriage? Oh God. Yeah. I was like, I can't be pregnant. He was like, okay, we're going to get a pregnancy test and I'm going to have to go in and like examine you. I'm like, doc, you do not want to go down there. I'm telling you, it's like serious. He's like, okay, I have to go down there. So he ends up going down there again, open up my legs. He uses it. He's like, okay, I gotta see. I gotta. So then he comes back out. He's like, okay, I'm gonna have to perform an emergency surgery. And I'm like, an emergency surgery? Wait, I'm having a wait, what's happening? So he explains to me that in order for him to examine me, he's gonna have to scrape my uterus and clean it out, take everything out, not like my uterus out, but take all the blood out and then examine to see what's happening. And then he informed me I would be asleep. I was sold. Okay, put me to sleep, Dad. I thought he was talking about doing all this while I was up. So I end up being put to sleep. I wake up and he explains to me that I have fibroids. One as big as a soccer ball. I have a couple big as a grapefruit. Oranges, I have up to 16 fibroids. And I'm like, okay. I don't even know how I got those. I was like, well, he was like, and they're really large. More than likely, you're going to have to get a hysterectomy. And mind you, he's saying this like nonchalantly. And I'm like, a hysterectomy? I was like, he's like, we take out everything. The fibroids, your uterus, everything. And you won't be able to have kids. But you have one, so you'll be fine. The nurses were looking at him, and I'm like crying at this point. And then he's like, you don't have to make a decision today. I can make you, we can make it tomorrow when you meet with the specialist. I had the specialist come down and we can talk to you. And I'm just like, okay. I ended up calling my aunt. I called my sister. I called one of my friends, and my phone died. So now I'm in the hospital. I can't even research like different methods. I'm like crying because I can't believe like I have to make this life decision by tomorrow. Like if I want to have kids or not anymore. Like don't get me wrong. I have my daughter, and again, I'm not gonna say I don't want to have another child. I'm just not in a relationship, and I can be in the future, but it's always nice to have an option, you know, not like you can't have anymore. So it was just a lot, and I had to make that decision, whether that or bleed or I just couldn't. I just wanted my pum-pum to be fixed, and I wanted to have kids. That's it. So the next day comes, the specialist comes down, and he's like, you know, there's options. He's like, first of all, I don't understand how your fibroids grew so large within 2 years since your last exam. It came back normal. I was like, well, I was at St. Barnabas, and that's what the doctor told me. He's like, oh, I work at St. Barnabas, so I'm going to go and request your records. So he comes back and he's like, you did have fibroids. You had 6 centimeters. One was 6 centimeters. I had 3. One was 6 centimeters. One was 5 centimeters. And the other one was 4. I was like, 2 years ago when he told me I was perfectly normal. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, okay. Wait, so you're telling me that I could have been fixing this problem 2 years ago? When he said he was like, yeah. So we're not going to dwell on that. Right now, we need to get you healthy. So there are other options other than a hysterectomy. Normally, this conversation would be a lot easier for older women who have this same problem, but you're young. So I would review all the other options. And then he started like, there's a laser one, myomectomy. Like, there's like a bunch of other couple ones, and here's one to shrink. And he's like, we can send you up for an ultrasound, and we can get started on whichever one. And I'm just like, this is a lot, and I need some time. He's like, okay, completely understand. We'll schedule a follow-up appointment on Tuesday where I'll show you the ultrasound. We'll do an ultrasound, and I'll show you that you can see the fibroids and how serious it is. And I'm like, okay. So I went home. Monday, the government shut down everything. So the doctor, because of Corona, so the doctor called me and said my scheduled appointment would be a month from then, like around April 21st. So more than a month. He's like, but if you have any bleeding, come right back to the hospital. And I'm like, any heavy bleeding where I'm hemorrhaging, come back to the hospital. I'm like, okay. At the time, I took that as God. I know. And everyone's like, wait, what? Like Corona? I know, but I feel like also, this is a sidebar, that this is happening for everybody to be centered. Like, especially like crazy hardworking people who don't have enough time to spend with their loved ones and their children and their kids. It's like God saying like, spend time. Like, I'm gonna center everybody, every single person. Nothing, like I'm gonna like center every single person. But that's besides the point. So I felt like with him postponing this, it gave me more time to do research. Here it is. They were telling me to get a hysterectomy and do this, but I did not realize that 600,000 hysterectomies are done on women a year. Fibroids are probably like 1 in every 3 women have fibroids, and it's very common in African American women. So when you put hysterectomies, African American women, it's just a lot. And I was able to do research on it and really digging into how do they develop? How did I get these? How did they grow? And it all came down to what I was feeding my body. So my PUM was broken because of what I was eating. Come on now. Figures, right? So I did change up my diet, and I said to myself, this gives me more than a month to really see if I can handle it on my own with holistic ways instead of doing like surgeries, because again, that's a lot. So we'll see. I did change up my diet. I stopped eating dairy, but I was cheating, and I'm still eating red meat and no soy products. Anything that's high in estrogen can feed the fibroids. So I've been taking a step back and really looking at what I'm eating and putting into my body to fix my broken PUM. So yeah, that's it. That's a little recap of what's happening with me and why the title is called Broken PUM, because it needs to be fixed, honey. Hello, I need it to be working.